Hold on. I think let me play your song. Hopefully it's not licensed. I need to close my window because okay, here's your song. And your name is Jhuma. Am I saying that right?
Yes, Juma. Juma
Huh?
Khan.
Say it.
Juma Khan.
Jhuma.
Juma Khan.
Okay, I'll be right back.
नाते कैसे जुड़े तू रेशम सी परी मुझ में क्या है सादगी रास्ते मुड़े हुए.
All right. Welcome.
Hi.
So I actually know you the least of well, not everybody. I had a couple of people that I met this round as well. So you're the I think the second person that I didn't know from before that that we're doing this. So thanks for trusting me. I think you're
Okay.
Oh, you were frozen.
Oh, for me, you were frozen.
Oh.
I don't know. I live in a village. Sorry, I was just saying that I live in a village, and I live on the outskirts of the outer Himalayas. So sometimes there are network issues. So I have my 5G connected, and it's showing me that the signal is at its best. But yeah, it may fluctuate a bit.
Okay,
I
so
hope that's not.
if it cuts off, I'm just gonna like try to stop you, and then I'll pause it, and then hopefully. So, how many people in your little village? I want to actually go to the Himalayas. Is it nice, or is it like, oh, it looks nice from here, but when you get there, it's like hard?
Well, I do not exactly live in the Himalayas. Like I live on the outskirts of it. So I can see the mountains, but I'm not actually on the mountains.
Have you been? Have you walked over there and tried to get close?
No, I studied there. Like hiking to the mountains was one of my favorite hobbies as a teenager.
I fucking love hiking.
Yeah, so I used to hike up to the hills that started up the mountain from where I live. I used to go there. There's a tea garden over there. My village is very popular for its tea. The British built a factory here back when they colonized us. So
Did they come and just have a picnic on your picnic?
yes. So the village didn't exist when they arrived. It was just like a huge forest. So they came, this guy who came and he took a look at the soil and concluded that the soil was very, very good to grow tea. So they set up a factory. They brought slaves from other parts of India.
Oh, they brought slaves? They didn't enslave you guys?
No, they brought slaves. I mean, they brought slaves from within India, but from another state. So not from our state.
They brought other slaves, and then they were nice to the people?
The people just joined after the people just, they started this village after the factory was created. I don't know how exactly the relationship between the British and the people over here, the locals.
Yes, you do. Let me tell you what, it wasn't fucking pleasant. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it never is. But like they stayed behind after we got independence. So they were here until 60s. We got our independence in late 40s. They only left when China invaded.
Who gave you your independence? Someone else?
Sorry?
I said, who gave you your independence?
No, we did, yeah. But I read accounts of them with the locals after independence, and from that, like it was like, oh, they were really good people, but obviously we know that they weren't before. So I think after independence, their behavior kind of changed towards the locals.
Shocking. Okay, but we're not going to talk about war today because then we'll just not talk about anything else. So, but what I would like to, before we move on, point out how it's interesting how everything we just talked about, and when we talk about every country, we seem to forget the history. It's like everybody's like, let's just go along now. Like, I feel like also I see this a lot in therapy. Denial is one of the craziest, most powerful. I don't know if you remember when I was talking about guilt and shame, but God damn it, denial trumps all that shit. Denial, like the way, you know, I've been talking to some of my other friends and people about the way families, friends, lovers deny. Let me turn that off because it'll deny somebody else's existence, deny somebody's reality, deny somebody's history. And sometimes because people are fucking crazy and use that to their advantage sometimes to like get shit and lie and say people rape them or hurt them, it's hard because then we don't know. And a lot of people don't have the actual capacity. Luckily, I do 85% of the time, don't have the capacity to tell who's right and who's wrong. Because if somebody says rape, you're like, oh my God, rape. But if they're just saying rape to fuck with somebody, or if they're just saying we need war to fuck with somebody, or they're saying they did this to us, how easy is it in war for somebody to go and be like, they attacked us or we're attacking them? How easy is that? Anyway, back to denial. So you are Yes Fam member number, what did I say?
5, I think.
You lucky number 5. You said you like number 5.
Yeah, back when I was into numerology, I found out that 5 was actually my life path number. I don't actually remember what it represents for me, but I read that it was one of my lucky numbers. I mean, I don't really believe in lucky numbers. I don't know if there is any. Yeah, but it kind of played into that, yeah, today.
Okay, so let's get started now that we're 7 minutes in.
Okay.
Of rambling. I'm going to have to write, start 7 minutes if you don't care about talk of war and history. So tell my 14 viewers about how you found me and how you obviously saw the Yes Theory podcast.
I did, yes. So I've been following everything related to the book, Dr. Strangers, for a while, because obviously I'm one of the admins at Yes Time Book Club, and Matt was a huge inspiration for us, especially for me.
Is he your favorite?
I don't like doing this to Amar, but yeah, he kind of
because
is.
he's your people. He's my people too. Matt's my favorite right now because he's the closest to me right now.
Yeah, I think Matt is my
favorite. I love you guys, Thomas and Amar, but we're just fucking around. So Matt's your favorite. Got it.
Yeah. So I wanted to read the book ever since he announced it, and he was one of the big reasons that we kept the book club going for so long. And when I saw that you were on the podcast, that was the first time I ever found out about you. That was the first time actually that I found out that Yes Theory have like a therapist.
They don't. Let's be clear, they do not have a therapist. You know, as you learned how I met Amar, so I was kind of like the friend in the background that happened to be a therapist. Kind of like when you have a lawyer who's a friend and you keep like asking them shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I watched the podcast and I found out that you were in the book, I immediately followed you from the book club's page, and then watched I think every story that you ever posted since then. And
I'm sorry about that.
There are a lot, but no, it's good. So you reached out to me through the book club. You reached out to the book club, and you said that, you know, I would love to do this with you guys. And at the time, I was not particularly interested in being in a podcast because I had a podcast like 2 years ago, a book podcast, and I was terrible at it. So I didn't think that, you know, I had it in me to.
What were you terrible at? What were you terrible at?
Just talking. I think one of the reasons was my podcast was just me talking about a book.
Oh,
So
yeah. See, that's the worst because I tried to do that and I failed, as you could see at my free world therapy
yeah,
page. So
yeah.
if you
So
talk to
I
people,
stopped.
I can do it all day. So you should just start it back up and just talk to people.
Yeah, maybe someday, in the future. Hopefully, I do have
Don't give
like
up on
creative.
your dreams.
No, I won't. But I feel like I have
Don't let
other
books die.
dreams.
Books are dying. We need more book people. I actually have a couple of members for you off the top of my head.
Hmm. For the book club or for like
Your
podcast episode.
podcast to talk about
Uh,
books.
yeah. Now that would be amazing if I can do it again someday. I think right now with me working a 12-hour job and then handling the book club, even though I have help with the book club, I like to be a big part of it. So I do a lot of things. Uh, I don't think I would have the time to do a podcast now. I feel like if I do it
Fun,
now,
just for fun. Just for fun. When you come across somebody interesting, or if you and your admin start talking about something interesting together, just record it. No pressure, not like that's what I did. As you could see, my free world therapy is like so different than this one. This one is like more, well, not this page. I'm like 5 different people, right, on 5 different platforms. So, just for fun, if it comes up, not like a pressure to record or a pressure to publish, just I was, you say it's a lot of content that I'm posting on Instagram. On my private Instagram page, I did the same thing. Just posted bullshit. I posted food and all this stuff. And it was fun. It was more like me thinking like I'm a music video director and joking around. And now it's like the same because I used to post a lot of shit. Now I'm posting a lot of shit, but it's like more meaningful shit.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I can definitely try again. So anyway, like I was saying with the story of how I decided to say yes to this. So when you proposed the idea, I brought it up with the other admins, and I was asking if one of them would be interested in doing a podcast episode, and we thought it would be about the book. So they were all excited, and then when you said that it was gonna be therapy, I immediately said that I wanted to do it because I've never really had a therapy session before in all my 24, now almost 25 years of existence. I've never attended therapy sessions ever. And I think the main reason for that was because there was not a single therapist anywhere near I lived. So I never had the opportunity, even though I was very interested in it. Like I wanted to understand myself better, I guess. I thought that therapy would kind of help me do that and also resolve some of the issues that I guess, like you said in the beginning, deny that it exists. So yeah, I said that I wanted to do it, and they were like, "Yeah, go ahead. We support you." So yeah, here we are.
I'd like to say sometimes denial is an important survival skill because if it wasn't for it, a lot of us probably would die from the stress.
Yeah, I feel like I would say that it has helped me a lot because if I didn't deny some of the things that I went through, I probably wouldn't have slept at all.
The
I
problem is that like I love your generation because you're so open to shit, even though still some of your cultures, your parents don't allow it, but you have so much access and you can read and educate yourself so you can learn about denial. But I just wish like other people could be open to, like older people or just everybody. Everybody should understand that there's a level of denial in their life that they just have accepted and aren't. Hold on, let me fix my dog. But you know what I mean? Like it's such an important thing. And I just started thinking more about it when this whole war shit started happening. Not like it's ever ended. War has been going on at all times, but denial.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I love that you're doing the book club. I think it's so important. I hope so many people join and that you can, and I can help you if you ever want to facilitate like a group thing.
Yeah.
so that, I can use this platform. I can have up to 10 people on here, and I could just let you guys sit on there and talk. I can like go in the background and do my own thing and kind of moderate, make sure nobody's out of line until you guys kind of learn how to run it yourselves.
Yeah, we can arrange like an event that's separate from the book club discussion. Uh, Talk about books about mental health. I think you would be uh, really great at moderating that. Maybe I know that you guys talked a lot about
Maybe books
government.
related to mental health. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because when I saw the podcast episode with you and Matt, you guys mentioned Gabor Mate a lot, and I was thinking, what if we like do something with that, like with a self-help book written by Gabor Mate or a mental health book written by
Yeah,
Gabor
I
Mate
would
or any
totally
other.
be down, especially with his new book, Toxic. What is it? The Myth of Normal. If you guys want to put that together, I'd be happy to moderate it. Like, you read a chapter, you talk about what you learned, blah, blah, blah. That would be really fun. He is somebody I learned about a long time ago, maybe like 10 years ago, and he really started getting popular in the past few years. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him at one of his workshops 7-8 years ago in San Francisco, and we had tea together. And so as you know, the most important videos I post on my pop-up Instagram, Pop-Up Therapist, is all his videos, because he really talks about the full spectrum of the human condition. And when people hear him talk, everybody's a fan. There's no way you listen to that guy talk and you're like, no, this is bullshit. There's just no way. That's why I like to go hard with it. I'm like, you're going to listen to this? These are vital videos, bitches. Vital.
Yeah, we once we once read a book together. Not exactly, I don't know if it's exactly in your area of expertise, but we read Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah.
And logotherapy, everything about it, I think, went completely over our heads. And I think if we had someone who is experienced or who understands that aspect of the book, who would have helped us explain it to us, it would have gone really well. I know we have a lot of members who is interested in reading nonfiction book, even though for like a couple of months now we've only read fiction. I think if we were to read a book about anything related to mental health, it would be nice to have a mental health expert over there at the discussion who could
let's
talk
put
to
it out there. If somebody in the world wants to start the Free World Therapy Book Club, I'd be down to do like a monthly mediation or moderation or whatever.
At least you should, what you should do, you should like at the beginning of each month you should just recommend a book, one that you want your viewers to read about mental health, about everything that you're interested in, and you can like talk to them about it at the end of the month.
Yeah, maybe. I don't like having commitments that are like that, because I don't know where I'm going to be in a month. If I'm like in some other country somewhere, surfing somewhere, I can't commit to having to come talk about a book. I might be on the mountainside somewhere. So we'll see. But like I said, if somebody else wants to do a Free World Therapy Book Club, I'm down to make it happen. It's going to have to be one of those, we'll play it by ear kind of monthlies. See. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys have how many members in the Yes Fam Book Club?
On Instagram, we have 800. On Facebook, we have 800. And on Discord, I think we're about like 80, but we only started it this month. We hope it grows. So some of our members are in both Instagram and Facebook group. But yeah, I think if we were to count like every individual person, we'd probably have around 14 or 1,500 people, I guess, in total.
That's nice. And I have only like, I think a couple of hundred people on my Instagram, but I always think even if it's like 50 legitimate people that appreciate your shit, like a room full of 50 people listening to you is a lot.
Yeah, no, that was one of the reasons. I think we really started with our Instagram from January of this year, and we had like 150 members. like 150 followers. And now we are up, like we just reached 800. So one of the reasons I think that kept us going over, like made us post a lot on Instagram was, the people that we were posting, like the 150 people, they were engaging a lot. They were liking everything. They were recommending books. They were coming to discussion and kind of motivated us. And, it helped us grow a lot quicker than we expected.
Yeah, I like that because I think the art of books is lost. Even though for me, I'm more of an audio listener because I'm a little bit ADD, a little bit kind of all these little things that my attention kind of hypervigilant. I don't know if it's from the war days, whatever it is, but I have some neurodivergence with my, I prefer to audio but I think it's important to bring people together to discuss a concept, especially about mental health, because so many, like I work with a lot of my clients privately for years and working on their traumas and if they're open and ready to talk about it, et cetera, et cetera. But there's nothing more powerful than going to a group, and having your peers validate some shit for you. There's nothing more. I can't do that because it's just me. I can't say, oh yeah, I feel you. I went through that. It made me feel like this. It's such a different kind of support. I should run a group.
Well, you know what? Like you should come to our discussion. Like you should join because what you just mentioned, you'll find a lot of that in one of our discussions. Uh,
What?
the support, and just when we read fictional books, we don't really just talk about the the storyline or like the plot. We delve into the things and what the themes represent and what it means for us. And I think you would enjoy that. Like if you're looking for something like that, I think you will enjoy that. So this month we're reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. Next month we'll probably read another book. So if you want to join us for that, you're more than welcome to.
So it's like one per month usually?
Yes, one per month is the official one. Like you can connect with other members and read books separately if you want. But the entire book club, we just read one book a month.
Yeah. So you had said when we were chatting that there is no therapy or therapist near. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so like I said, I live in a village. Therapy as a concept, I think over here, I don't think even if there was a therapist, I don't think they would want to set up a clinic over here because I don't think it would, I don't think people would want to come. I feel like people over here are very closed off when it comes to like viewing their emotions or talking about their emotions.
What is the population of your village?
Uh, I think I don't really know because there's no real database over here that's public for all of us to view. But I think if I had to guess, we probably have like 15 to 20,000 people, I guess.
Okay. So where is the next biggest town that has like therapists?
Uh, I would say like it's probably 60 or 40 to 60 kilometers away. I don't know how much that would be in miles, but yeah.
And then how it's like 30. And then how often, how do you guys, or in the bigger cities, I guess, how is therapy looked at?
I think with the younger generation, they want to do it. They want to, like, not all of it, obviously, but like most of it now would want to go to therapy, want to, talk about their emotions, talk about their trauma and everything. But the older generation, even people from like people who are in their 30s and 30s and older, they I don't think most of them want to go to a therapist. I'll give you an example. Like I'll give you an example of my mother. My mother has a lot of issues, a lot of issues, and we've like recommended her to go to a therapist a lot of times. But she views it as like if you go to a therapist, it's kind of uh, you're kind of agreeing to the fact that you're, not right in the head, I guess, or you should be in an institution, I guess. So it's like when you tell them to go to a therapist, my mother views it as the most extreme, like the most extreme case
Like, you must
of
be so fucked up if that's what they're wanting you to do. So I'm not going to go, because if I go, that means I'm admitting that I'm so fucked up.
yes.
And is your mom Afghan or Indian?
My mom is Indian. My father was Afghan.
It's Afghani. And then you were born in India.
I was born in India. I've never been to Afghanistan, but my father died over there. So he's buried over there. I've never really had a chance to visit his grave. So I want to go someday, but if I go now, I won't be able to come back to India because of, everything with the Taliban and stuff.
When did he pass away?
He passed away when I was 15, 16. I was 16, I think, in 2015. Or I
How
was
did
maybe around 2015 or 2016. I was 15 or 16 years old.
how did he pass?
He was really old. My mother was younger. They had like a 20-year age difference, I think. I'm not sure because he never really had a birth certificate. Um, and he had a lot of health issues. Before he left India, he had tuberculosis, but that was fixed, and he had asthma. So at the end, it was the asthma, I think, that got him. He just wasn't able to breathe.
How was your relationship with him?
Yeah, it was complicated. Uh,
Was he around a lot or no?
he was around a lot, but he did abandon us towards the end. So when he went to Afghanistan, he didn't tell us that he was going to Afghanistan. He told us that he was going to Nepal for a cataract surgery. And even though, like, he didn't tell us that he was going to Nepal until he was on the way to Afghanistan. So when he was on the way to Afghanistan, he was telling us that he's going to Nepal for his cataract surgery. And then when he got to Afghanistan, he told us that he was over there instead of in Nepal. So yeah, it was complicated. Uh, it wasn't really, our relationship wasn't great to begin with. Obviously, it was better when I was in my early childhood. But yeah, as I got older, when I entered my teenage years, even a year or two before that, it started to deteriorate a little bit. His relationship with my mom, his relationship with me, my relationship with my mom, my relationship with my sister, it all kind of fell apart, you know?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Was Did him and your mom have a good relationship?
No. they
They
had they had one of the worst relationships I've ever seen. When I was young, they never used to fight. It was a really, I feel like when I was probably 7, 8, 9 years old, we were a really good family. Like we were kind of like a perfect family, I think, at that, when I was there, that, when I was at that age. But then they started to fight, and it started off, slowly. It was just verbal at the time.
What
But
did they
then
fight about?
anything and everything, honestly. Like in the beginning, I don't remember what exactly the first fight was about. I just remember them like locking the doors and shutting us out while they yelled at each other. And we used to like cry. We would wait by the locked door, and we used to cry, and we would ask them to not fight, because that was like when that happened for the first time, when they fought for the first time. It was such a shocking moment because I didn't think they were ever going to do that. And then it just kind of started to happen regularly. Like in the very beginning, I think it was just one fight a year, and then the next year it was two fights, and then the next third. And by the time I reached 13 years old, they were fighting almost every day. And when it was just
What were
them
they
and
fighting
me, like I said, anything and everything. Like what he was very easily annoyed by stuff, and she easily got angry. So
What a
they just
perfect
like,
pair.
sorry.
What a perfect pair. Easily annoyed and easily angered. Like they can, wow.
Yeah, yeah. And he had a lot of heart issues as well. He had blood pressure. So whenever they fought, he would just, um, get to a level of anger that I, I never thought I would ever see. So even though she was easily angered, he was more angry by the time the fight ended, and he collapsed a couple of times in the middle of fights, where he would clutch to his heart as if he was in pain. Um, and we had to take him to the hospital a couple of times
Wow.
after the
Yeah,
fights.
I think people underestimate how much we yell from our heart and our soul. And then if you're that angry, and usually it's just people who just have not healed their own trauma that are so angry, Nobody's just so angry for no reason.
Yeah. The first time that happened, it was, I think, the second or third fight that they had, and I was in the room. I was in the room when that happened. It was at night, and he just collapsed, and I had to call my neighbors for help, and they took him to the hospital. And yeah, he was back the next day. Uh,
So when that happens, I know when like I talk to my clients and parents are fighting a lot and it's like such a scene all the time, but you still like love your parents even though they're crazy sometimes. How does that affect you when you see him collapsing? You're angry, you love him, you're scared. Like what's happening?
I wanted to protect him. I wanted to protect both of them from each other, but I didn't want them to separate. I wanted them to be together. I wanted everything to go back to the way it was before they even started fighting. So I would like try and diffuse fights. And when
Were you
something
you were the
happened,
peacekeeper?
I was the peacekeeper. Yeah, I think all of even my siblings were the peacekeepers. But then there came a point when it was just me and them at the house, and things used to get physical with them. After a while, like when I was in my teens, early teens, he hit her a lot. She hit him back a lot, and I had
Your
to come in between. I had to
wait,
separate the two.
wait, who hit who
Sorry,
a lot?
they both hit each other. He started it, obviously, in the beginning. He hit her a
You're
lot.
talking about your
And
sibling.
no, no, no. My father. My father used to hit my mother, and
Oh,
yeah, and she had to be
hold
hospitalized.
on. Trigger warning, domestic violence, trigger warning, all the things. Okay, go.
There's one more trigger warning. Suicide attempt
But by who?
by my mother, and even by me.
With your, even by who?
Even by me at one point.
Really? It got from the fighting? I mean, yeah, when you're under that much pressure all the time, you just want to escape. So you
Yeah,
actually tried? How old were you?
I think I was 14 years old, 14, 15 years old.
And
Uh,
what was happening in your life to make you go there?
uh, they were fighting a lot, and I was not home. I was at my tutor's, and my sister was home, and my sister was the peacekeeper while all of that was happening. And while I was at my tutor's, my sister told my father to go and get a divorce from my mother, and he agreed. And so he went to court. And I was so troubled by the idea of having divorced parents that I tried to slash my wrists, and I even did. But I didn't get too far into it. And my sister stopped me. Um,
Wait a minute, because of the idea of divorced parents?
yeah, because of the idea of divorced parents, because of the idea that, if that happened, they could never go back to the loving parents who never used to fight that they were before. Uh, so I think that was one of the reasons that made me do that. But now looking back, I kind of wish, that they got divorced and even earlier if it was possible. So yeah, I feel kind of stupid
No,
now
it's
to.
interesting. It's interesting that you felt that kind of pressure because usually the parents feel that kind of pressure and stay together for the kids. But you wanted that before so badly when you were a child, when you don't even know, honestly, when you're 6, 7, 8, but you don't know, you don't know
Yeah,
exactly what's going on. So, um, yeah, you wanted it that bad that the thought of losing it was
yeah,
unbearable.
yeah. I think one of the reason I thought that it would be so horrible was because no one really had divorced parents where we were. Like you never came across a child who had divorced parents. Everyone's family stayed together. And
In your village?
yeah, in my village, in India in general, like there are not that many divorce rates compared to like say US. People stay together a lot more than they
I've
do.
had a lot of Indian clients, and I've seen some of the worst cases of abuse with all my clients, but with my Indian clients, some of the worst cases of abuse. And I think in these cultures in general, because people feel so much the need to save face, so they will stay in these relationships. I mean, we do it when we're not in a crazy closed culture, we do it in
Yeah,
general when we're attached to somebody. So you can imagine when you have the layers of culture and all these other things on top of it, then yeah, of course.
yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly why I think many of them stay together, even though they shouldn't, is because what would society say? I guess is the question they always ask
What would
themselves.
my friends think? They would think I'm a failure, I'm a bad woman or a
Yeah.
bad husband or a bad something.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, there's also a lot of pressure from their parents for them to make this marriage work. You know what they say over here? Like, if you have a really bad marriage, they say you should have a baby together because that will solve everything.
Said no one ever. No, they say that everywhere. They say that all over the world, and that's like really funny because that's never actually
Yeah,
happened before. The baby has never made anything better. It just
yeah.
makes things harder.
If anything, the baby grows up and is affected by a lot of what happens in their marriage.
Yeah, it's not ever, yeah, no. No bueno.
Yeah. So, like I said, like one time they were fighting, and my mother drank. I don't know if you know it, but phenyl. Do you know that? So it's basically like a chemical substance that we use over here to keep the snakes away, and even sometimes for cleaning. So she drank that in hoping that it would kill her. Uh, and she went and laid next to my father, and he could smell it on her. So they immediately went to a hospital, and she had like a whole thing done, and yeah, she was okay after that. But the fighting never stopped, even after that. That was, I felt like, was such an extreme measure that it should be a wake up call for them to, either get divorced or stop fighting or try and improve things. But no,
How old were you when she did that?
I think I was 12 years old, I think.
Okay, so can you take me through it at 12 years old when you wake up to that day? What happens?
Yeah, it happened at night. I went to school. I came back. They were fighting already. Uh, it was not something that happened occasionally at that time. By that point, it was happening every day. Their fights, like every other day or every day, and you sort of just you can only play Peacekeeper for so long that sometimes you just stop, do what you have to do, just don't disturb me.
Everyone has a
So
limit.
yeah, when things got extreme, obviously I had to step in, and my siblings had to step in and try and keep them apart. But that day, I don't think I was particularly caring for what they were telling each other. I was not trying to be a peacekeeper. I was just minding my own business. And they were fighting. I don't remember about what. Um, and we had our dinner. I was in my bedroom. My father was in his bed, and she went outside in our backyard, and she drank the phenyl, and then she came back to bed, back into
You
her
saw
bed
her?
blanket.
You saw her?
No, I didn't see her, but I heard about that's what she did because she was open to us about what she did after. She didn't even drink it straight out of the bottle. She had 2 teaspoons of it and thought that it would do the job. And yeah, and my father could smell it on her. And so he told us that she had done this, and he put her in the car, and they drove to the hospital while my sister and we stayed home. We stayed up. We called our relatives that this happened. And yeah, she was back like, I think 2 hours later, and
So you're
she was
hold on. So
back.
you're 12, you're 12, you're up, you're calling your relatives to tell them your mom went to the hospital. What are you feeling?
I was feeling scared at the time. I was thinking that, she may not survive. That was my main concern, I think. I was also a little bit embarrassed to get them involved. I was always embarrassed to get them involved in anything related to them, with their fights and stuff. I never wanted to call on them to like help us, because there had been certain other times when they had to step in, and they were my mother's family because my father's family were all in Afghanistan. So they always, badmouthed my father. Um, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that they used to say bad stuff about my father and urge my mom to leave him at the time. So I didn't like calling on them because of that. But at the time, I think I was mostly just scared of what's gonna happen. Is she gonna be okay? Is she not gonna be okay? Will I still have a mother in a couple of hours? So yeah, all those thoughts were just going through my head.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So okay, so then what happened?
Yeah. So after 2 hours, she came back. She laid down in a bed. I cuddled her. I think I slept with her that night, and she was crying. She had tears in her eyes. I remember that. I remember wiping them, and yeah, I was just, you know, telling her words of affirmations, and she didn't say anything. She slept. I don't think she spoke a lot the next day either. But then the day after that, she opened up. She told us what happened. She told us how she did it, what she tried. I think my relatives were here by that point also, so she was also relaying the story to them, and that's how I heard it. Uh, and yeah, she told us. I remember this. She told us she was very scared of the police. So she remembered that when my father was driving her to the hospital, which was in the next village over, um, she saw police cars waiting, and she was scared that they would arrest her while she was being taken to the hospital because she drank the thingy. So I was kind of amused by that. You're about to die and you're worried about being arrested for attempting to take your own life.
I'm just taking some notes on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask? How was your relationship with your mom up to that point? Like, you said she had a lot of problems and she was probably abused at a young age, blah blah blah. But what do you mean she had a lot of problems? It was like this kind of hot and cold, like very emotional outbursts, angry. You said she was easily angered, so that usually means a lot of unexpected bursts of anger that are usually scary for children because you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, emotional outbursts, temper tantrums, stuff like that were very common. In the beginning, like when I was like younger, it was a nice relationship. She was really nice. She was actually my favorite. My father was not my favorite. My mother was my favorite. I used to be a mama's boy, you know. My sister was daddy's girl. Uh, and then like when her when the fight started to happen between her and my father, my mother would, you know, she would badmouth my father in front of us, saying that he's shit. You know, just telling stuff that you shouldn't tell your children about your
But
husband or
everybody does. They say a lot worse
yeah.
than that. They do a lot worse than that. They beat the shit out of each other in front of their kids.
Yeah. So it started off as that, you know, before it even progressed to physical fights. It started off as that, and my father would do the same thing with us, with my mom. Um, but my father told us, like, well, my father would, like, you know, try and make us side with him instead of her, and my mother would do the same thing where she would try and get us on her team instead of his. And my mother used to like scream and, you know, just badmouth him to get us on her side. My father used to be the calm one who would be like, you know, this is what your mother does. She's an instigator. She starts all of this, and then she gets mad at me when I like act up on it and stuff like that. And my mother used to instigate a lot of fights that happened. Yes, but he was not, you know, he was not entirely blame free. Um, I think both of them were kind of similar in that way that they were always ready to go 10 rounds with each other.
Well, I think because, again, when people don't heal their trauma, they wage war on the world, on their relationships, at work, wherever they can, because they are used to living in that type of state. And so they find a way to sometimes subconsciously just create it in every interaction, especially with their loved ones, especially with the people that are closest to them, because that's who we feel most comfortable shitting all over for some reason.
Yeah. My mother, she also had like she was married twice before she married my father, and both of them had been abusive marriages like that.
How
Um,
old was this poor woman when she got married? You already said she was 20 years younger than your dad.
yeah, she was 24 when she got married. She first married, I think, when she was, I don't think she was 18 when she got married. She was probably younger.
She was like
Um,
a war child bride, essentially, of sorts. Married twice.
yeah,
She had other
yeah.
kids.
She had two kids. One of them lived with us when we were like, I think he left when I was 12 years old. I didn't know he was my half brother. I thought he was my, you know, he was from the same father that I had, but no, he was from her first marriage. And I didn't know that until much later.
How
And then she had
What was the age difference? Keep talking.
the age difference was, let me think, he was probably 10, 10, 12 years older than me. Uh, so, yeah,
So that's a lot older.
but it didn't seem, you know, that it was too old. It didn't seem like too older.
Yeah.
He was. I remember like we were in the same school. He was in sixth grade, and I was in kindergarten. So it didn't seem like it was, you know, too old. He was kind of like my protector, but even like we are estranged now. We had our own issues. He had he did certain things after. See, there's a lot to unpack here. We're
We're gonna have to
way
bring
past.
you back in the next session.
Yeah.
So
Very,
let's talk a little bit before we go about okay, so let's stick with the parents, and because there was a lot there, you kind of seeing your mom kind of behave in these ways that are more erratic, parents always fighting. How do you think that? What do you think that taught you about people and relationships?
I didn't think that they were, I didn't see their relationship as something that was normal. I thought it was pretty isolated. I thought, just I got dealt a bad card. I didn't think that was going to happen with any of the relationships that I was going to be in, or that's something that's normal in other relationships, because I saw evidence on the contrary with other people. So I just thought, that it's just a separate event, that it's not really what happens with other people. I was hopeful.
Did it cause any effect on how you trusted people?
I think I think I had problems trusting their family members, but not people in general.
I think the sound is starting to get a little bit worse. What was I going to ask you? What do you think? Okay, what would you say to people? I don't know, anything. What is an important message you've learned either from the books you guys have read, or just what's your final word for now? We'll probably bring you back later, but what would you like to leave off on? What note would you like to leave?
Yeah, that's not an easy question, but I would say, like, even though shitty things happen to you, it can get better. It will get better, I guess. I think, like, whatever is the worst thing that you're going through now, just know that it's not gonna last. That there will come a time and you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh yeah, that happened to me, but it's not the worst thing that could happen to me.
Do you feel like that did happen to you? You can look back and be like, all right, I because I think when people often forget when they think about the traumas they've been through, but it's obviously some of them are very, very horrible, but I think they forget that they did survive it because they are here, even though they may feel dead inside, but they survived it. So now you got to like heal the inside.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. That I forget that I went through some of those stuff. Even now when I voice it out loud that I had been a child of an abusive marriage, I feel weird. Like, was I really? Did that really happen to me? Uh, so I do kind of forget that I went through all of that stuff, and I feel like the passage of time kind of helped with that. Um, Even my father's death kind of helped with that.
What do you mean?
When he when he passed away,
Yeah.
like, obviously I was sad, but then I was also kind of relieved because I knew for certain that the things that I went through, I'm not gonna go through them again. So yeah, it kind of like brought that kind of relief as well.
And I think people feel bad sometimes when they lose a parent because they don't want to think something like that,
Yeah.
But they do, but they just feel bad about it. But it's natural to feel some relief when a stressor is gone, whatever it is.
Yeah. I remember, like, when we found out that he died, like 2 days after he actually died. They didn't tell us directly because Eid was going on. He died like one day before Eid, and
Who
they
didn't
didn't
tell?
want to tell us. So he died in Afghanistan, right? And my stepbrother, who lives here, my father was a bigamist. He had a family in Afghanistan, and then he came to India. He got married here again. So his youngest son came to work here in India when I was a child, when I was 8 years old. Uh, and he's like a, even though he's a stepbrother whom I didn't really know until I was 8 years old, he's kind of like my best favorite sibling out of everyone. So yeah,
It's like Matt is your favorite sibling.
he's my favorite. He's like my patron, I would say. So yeah, when he told us basically because we don't really speak my father's language, so the family over there they had no way of telling us because they don't speak our language, Hindi. So they told my brother, and my brother told us 2 days later. And when I found out, I think I cried for like 10 minutes, and then I went to watch TV, which I feel really horrible about that I did that, you know. But I think at the time I was also just trying to keep my mind off what has happened.
Why do you
I
feel
was really,
horrible? Why do you feel horrible that you did something that's going to give you some stress relief? Are you not supposed to have that stress relief?
I think I had family over at the time. My mother's family was over here. And it's kind of like, I think there's this expectation on you as a child that if your parent dies, that you're supposed to just break down and not function
Well, yeah,
for
it depends on the parent. And it sounds like you did, you did break down.
Yeah, but I don't think that I did that at a sufficiently long enough time that they wanted or expected me to do it, you know?
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't grieve correctly for them.
Yeah, I didn't grieve correctly for the duration of time that they wanted me to grieve, I guess.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
There is no time to grieve. Maybe some people don't grieve for like a couple of years even, You might have just gotten it all out in that 10 minutes and that you're done and no one can tell you otherwise. Did you have anything after that or no, that was it?
With my father, like with grief, not really. I don't think I felt the same emotion that I felt when I was told, and the grief I felt at the time. I don't think I felt it at that same severity after. Obviously, I missed him like after, like even now, like a couple of months ago, I dreamed of him. I missed him, but I don't think I really felt that kind of grief again.
Yeah, and that's okay. And now I guess when you look back on it now, do you feel okay about it or is there some sadness but nothing you can't handle? Like it's okay for you?
I think I'm okay with it. Like there's no sadness. I think there's just this one dream that I would like to go visit his grave one day and pray for him in heaven. I hope he's in heaven. I don't know. Uh, I don't even know if I believe in heaven or hell. But yeah,
Depends on
just
the day, right?
exactly. I kind of just want to go and visit his grave someday. Yeah, just that. But
Aw.
no sadness really.
Guess what? We're gonna try to. Well, I don't know. I was like, we're gonna make Yes Theory get you there, but you said there's some Taliban shit happening. What is happening there?
Not really, but I was mistaken actually. The first time I said it, I remember my brother, who is an Afghan national. If he goes to Afghanistan now, he can't come back to India. But I have an Indian passport, so if I go, I can come back. I was confused a little bit when I said that earlier, but yeah.
Well, let's see if Yes Theory can get you to Afghanistan to see her. I'm gonna rack up their bill is what I'm gonna do. For all the therapy I didn't charge them over the years, I'm gonna rack it up on free world therapy on you guys. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming, and you will come back, and then you'll let me know if you have a fun book club I can come and harass you guys in.
Definitely. Yeah, I would love to come back. I would love to talk more. I think it really, I I don't really think we delved into the ocean of things that there are to delve. We only touched a sliver of it, but it was kind of nice to
That was a
voice
lot.
all those.
That was a big sliver, though. There was,
Yeah, it was kind of nice to talk about it.
good. I'm glad. And yeah, we will talk about doing some EMDR stuff too.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming and trusting me with your story. And I'm gonna post it right now, so I will send it to you. I'll send you the link.
Okay, I'll go have dinner because I haven't had dinner, and then I'll try and sleep.
Oh, you should have had dinner. Okay, go have dinner and text me
Okay.
later then. All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.